那接下来呢，我们另外一位的那个是来自德国的演讲嘉宾Stephan Horvath， 那他是一个超过20年 B2C 端的国际代理咨询工作的一个专家，他创立了很多的新技术跟创新之间的联系的一个工具，推动北美、欧洲、中东跟亚洲的一些业务发展。他今天跟我们分享的题目是 AI 打造新的系统，以此数字经济的新转变。Now next on the stage, we're going to invite Mr. Stephan Horvath. He's the partner at Birch Financial and the founder of Ideation, to share his view on artificial intelligence, which mirrors human trust and is a paradigm shift for the digital economy. Welcome.
Thank you very much. My name is Stephan Horvath, and I think the only word in Chinese I can contribute today is ni hao. I hope it's pronounced correct. I'm partner at Birch Financial, a corporate and financial advisory company from Dubai. I'm working in the area of investor relations, and my topics I'm working most is AI and AIoT, as well as fintech. To be here in China and to speak about AI is an honor, because I think there are two countries in the world that are leading in AI. One is the US and the other is China. And I believe in the area of AI, China is definitely ahead. Today I speak about human trust in AI. We had a while ago an idea. How can you get the human trust factor into artificial intelligence, which doesn't really sound instantly like an easy journey. The idea came up when friends of mine had problems with ride-hailing, with finding a right driver, which was rated well. But at the end, it turned out as not so a positive trip. When I talk now today about AI, imagine AI mirrors human trust. That is a word I took because I believe mirror is something when we look into a mirror, we see an image of ourselves, and we want a system replicate what we have as human trust. I spoke with a friend and he said, no, it's not mirror, it is model. He's an engineer and he wanted to do something. He wanted to reshape human trust in a system. Another one said, actually it is reinvent. We reinvent human trust and make that a bigger story when we support that with a machine. And maybe it is expand. Maybe it is something that we have in us, trust, and we will only use this machine, this AI system, to extend that, to trade that into our business. Whatever it is definitely a business innovation, and it will definitely bring business it will definitely bring a boost to the digital economy. So when we talk about human trust in AI, normally people say, do you trust AI? Can you trust AI? That means the word trust in AI goes mainly with, do I trust this system? And yes, I think innovation comes always with a level of risk. But when you say you sit into a car like Waylay or a Tesla, which uses autonomous driving, you are using trust, and you trust your system with your life. But now the question is, how can we build a system that actually mirrors, that replicates human trust? How can we do that? For that, we have the question, what is trust? So who do you trust today without a system? Your answer is very likely, I trust myself most. Then the next question is, who else do you trust? You trust your family, your relatives, because they're close to you. And then you trust also friends, let's say at least some of them. And you definitely trust experts. That is one pillar we took into consideration for the system. The other was the question, why do we trust them? Okay, we trust them because with relatives, definitely, we have good relations. We trust them because we have connections with them and they are connected to others, and so we expand the trust system. And we also trust them because they are like us. Whatever it is, trust is individual, trust is relational, trust is contextual, and trust is constantly evolving. And there's one quote in the picture from Schmidt, the ex-CEO of Google, who said, in a networked world, trust is the most important currency. So what the takeaway is relationship, and the other is recommendations. We started building the system based on trusted relationships on one side, and on the other, on trusted recommendations. Trusted relationships were built into a kind of social graph where you can see who are you, who are my friends, who are my relatives, and we build on them. On top of that, there was an additional layer. So we need more data, we need more text, context to build this trust. And some of your relations are stronger, some are weaker, and because of you have strong relationships, you trust people more. The same can be replicated in the system if you weight these relationships. There will be social relationships, and they were weighted to get this recommendation. When you go for shopping, you wouldn't probably trust what you want to wear when you ask my mother. But maybe I can ask some friends and they say, yeah, that is cool stuff, that is what you should buy. When I'm asking, let's say for an app which I need for music, I trust my daughters most because they are in this cool space, they know what to do. And now, maybe you're into cars. You like cars and you're looking for someone who helps you with selecting the right tires. You will ask only their friends in your area where you know they have knowledge or others are trusting them. Whatever it is, it goes with feedbacks, with sentiments. And for a system can also find among thousands and hundred thousands and millions of other people which have very likely the same relationship patterns, the same trust patterns, and the same contextual preferences like you do. And to build this system, you need data. Actually, artificial intelligence can only be as good as the data that you're willing to put in such a system, and when this data is clean. It goes simply with data points. That is where everything starts. But then, over time, you connect these data points and you build data traces to understand better how people are behaving, where they move, or even how they move internally. And to give recommendations, you also have to understand the context. And here is where AI can play a huge role by understanding not only the relationships, but also doing interpretation of the right context. And what is now missing is a bit the human factor. And this human factor is something you can get out of social. Because each user in such a system has very likely a social presence. And you can learn from there what the background is, how they behave, and how they act. So, building such a system goes with, we're gathering all the data points, we're trying to get as much data traces as possible about the user, about his relations in the system, definitely contextual, but also information about the products, the services he uses, and how he moves. Important is that we're using as much sources as possible, multiple sources and distinct from each other. All that can build in a kind of social graph that the system understands how this goes together. And on top, as said before, you have different layers, like a transactional layer, a behavioral layer, a contextual layer, or special know-how which you can add so that you always have a very transparent system. But how can you commercialize such a system? Do the world really need something like that? So I think I picked out of different use cases just for. In the sharing economy, everything goes with trust. You share your car, you share a bike, you share a flat. Maybe you share your house to strangers via Airbnb. So that means you have to have a huge trust. And all the current economy can give you back today is a star rating, a 1 to 5. It is maybe or a 1 to 10, or it is 3 stars or 5 stars, whatever it is, it does not really value your social preferences and your social decisions that helps you to build your trust. Then in e-commerce, it is exactly the same. And when you think about marketing or mobility, there are also other use cases. I picked out 2 from mobility and 1 for marketing. The first one for mobility is autonomous driving. That helps to answer the question, do we trust AI? Who do you trust more? An 18-year-old newly driver who just acquired his license? Or a system that has the information of millions and millions of past rides to drive safely? And now it comes back to the relationships. My daughter recently made her driving license. She's 18, and I trust her, really. I gave her my car. But I wouldn't trust each and any 18-year-old. That means it always goes with how close you are to these people and how you can reflect. The use case ride-hailing is very interesting in the case of when you have a driver, Didi, Grab, Uber, whatever it is, most of them have a rating of 4.8 or higher. you still don't know if you can use this driver, if you can trust this driver. If you're in business, you want to have a fast ride and a quiet driver, the rating doesn't really tell you about the social background, about the preferences. If you're a single mom with a kid going with the shopping bags into the city, you probably need a kind of different way of driving. Or if you come from the Middle East, you have there, let's say, when it goes to women are driving, you prefer female drivers or you prefer drivers who have a social trust pattern that is proven. And when a human-like trust system gives this, it will relate in the end to more happy customers, because you get more often the driver selected that you want. It gives also more happy drivers because it is for them a much better match. And the lifetime value. The next case is micro-influencers. Discover micro-influencer is a very simple case. Marketing budgets today, 1 or 2% goes to the very large influencers. A lot of other people will not receive credits if they could influence. For what reason? It is impossible for the brands to find them, to connect to them, and to be relevant for the content. And so these micro-influencers are struggling to make money with it. With an AI system that reads all this information, and all the information you read to build such a system is available on social platforms, it can be easily empowered. The system can read their followers, can see the likes, the social traction, the content, whatever comes through, and also for their followers. Someone who is really into cars doesn't need to be the best influencer for cars. Maybe he's the best influencer, let's say, for cooking, if he's very heavy posting about the cars, but maybe only a part of that gets a huge traction. With this, such a system can find the right, sharp, targeted influencers. And for the brands, because the system reads contextual and sees the amount of posts, it is very easy for them to see which social impact the use of a single influencer can have. So that means it is commercialized to brands. Brands can extend the reach by creating exceptional new relationships with new audiences, and also taking a different perspective, bringing a new marketing approach on the road. For the influencers, they can build trusted communication with agencies and brands because they get found, and they can stay close to the consumers. Initiating innovation can be a very interesting part for marketing with these micro-influencers. The time is nearly off, so let me wrap it up. The areas to commercialize sharing economy is e-commerce, mobility, and marketing and advertising. And I believe AI-powered human trust can give for all these areas a new and a strong approach towards new businesses. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. 谢谢 Stephan。因为那个科技是不断的向前进步的。刚才他跟我们分享了，他提出一个很重要的想法，说科技其实也可以增进人 人与人之间的那个信任。如果说我们透过更明确、更清楚的那个资料数据，我们有很多的事实来